I'm super excited to introduce the 3 latest features that I have shipped for Lookio, and I think these are some of the biggest features I have released so far. So Lookio is the platform to build AI knowledge retrieval. So if you have long documents like PDFs, CSV, text, Markdown, etc., you can store them all into Lookio, a bit like you do in Notebook.lm, but this time you can call them via API. And here are the 3 major upgrades. The first one is that you can synchronize one of your sitemaps as a resource in Lookio. So it means that if your website has, for example, 100 blog articles, you can get the sitemap, which is the list of all your URLs, and synchronize it to Lookio, and we'll make sure that regularly we check if you have new pages, if you actually removed pages, or if some pages have been updated, and we'll always keep that synchronized, and it also makes it easier for you to decide which assistant accesses which resource, because you can simply say that one assistant accesses this sitemap and you don't have to select all the individual URLs. So this is an additional option to synchronize the content of URLs, which means that we will fetch the actual content of the page and use it as a resource in Lookio. And this is super useful. Is part of your documentation is actually your docs, so your documentation pages that you have online. Many digital companies now use tools like Mintlify to publish their docs, and you can simply provide the URL of your docs or directly their sitemap, and we'll be synchronizing all the knowledge that's in your docs. And this leads to the second big update. It is called Lookio Widgets. It's basically a way for you to put one of your Lookio assistants within a chatbot that you integrate within your website. So you get a script that you can directly paste into your website, and your AI-powered assistant based on your docs and additional documentation is live, and you'll see that you have many ways to customize it to make it very powerful, but also super simple and way more affordable than the native AI assistants that some docs website have. We'll see that it's sometimes 10 times or 15 times cheaper than those alternatives. And last but not least, I have also released an MCP for Lookio, which means that your agentic tools like Cursor, Claude Code, Antigravity, Mistral, and A10 can use all the functionalities of Lookio without you having to plan all the different steps, because the MCP lists all the possible capabilities. They're exactly the same as our API, so you can really have control here. And then your agent will be able to call the different capacities to power your work with AI knowledge retrieval, and we'll see a couple use cases. So let's get started with the demo. I have created a new account, and I will directly go in here, upload your resources. And what I will do is that instead of adding a classic resource, so files, URLs, or even plain text that you can copy and paste, I'll go into Sitemaps, and I will see that I can sync a new sitemap. And if I, for example, go on Antigravity's website, right here, I can simply add /sitemap.xml, and it's the way to access a sitemap, which is basically the list of all the URLs that they have available or they want to make available on their website. So I can just grab this URL and go back to Lookio, and I'll go in here and paste my URL. Now we see that Lookio identified the sitemap with 26 URLs. I could go ahead and add other sitemaps to import them all at once, but for now we'll just proceed with this one, and we can browse all the URLs and eventually decide to exclude some of the URLs if we don't want them to be part of the documentation. So I'll go ahead and hit Sync Sitemap. So now we see that Lookio is processing the different URLs of this sitemap. If I reload, we see that it is now ready, and if I open that, I have a chance to modify, for example, the URLs that we're syncing. I can always apply and resync, or simply relaunch a crawl, and what Lookio will do in the background is check which URLs have been added in the meantime or deleted from the sitemap, take into account your new exclusion rules, but also check what page has been updated so that we keep the knowledge up to date, and depending on your plan, this crawl will happen automatically on a regular basis. So now that we have added resources, we need to create an assistant. So I'm going in here and I'll give it a name. We also write some context about this assistant. And you can set some output guidelines, for example. So from there, I can select what resource it can access. Right now, I'll make it very easy because we only uploaded one sitemap, so I'll go for all resources. Otherwise, you could just select the resource you want this assistant to access. Now we have our assistant, and we can run a test query to see if it's working well. So from here, I can select a query mode. And in our context, because we are building a chatbot, I would recommend to use the flash mode because velocity is key here. And that mode is also quite smart. So I'll run this test query. And we directly see that it used our resources and generated the response in less than 5 seconds. So now that our assistant is ready, we could either query it from the API, and here is how the endpoint would look like. But what we want to try today is the widget mode. So I'll go in there, create a new widget, and that's where I'll give my widget a name. I can select the assistant to connect. So in our case, we only have one. The query mode again, let's go for Flash. And I can also customize many things like the welcome message, the placeholder text. Then we can pick our primary color and go for light or dark mode and even change the fonts. Then we also have to allow certain domains because it will only be working on our website so that we are sure that nobody installs this widget on their own websites. Let's create this widget and give it a try. Now this is the place where we can modify our widget, but also preview it. So I have created two layouts. The first one is the center layout. Let's give it a try. And as we preview it, it basically appears at the bottom center of your screen. And then we have this nice animation where we can write our message. And whenever we send a message, it opens this model. And if I close and click again, it will reopen it. But if I reload this conversation, then it would act as if it's the first time again. Now let's give a try to the right layout and actually test it live. So I'll copy this script and go into one of my websites right here in the custom code section. And that's where I will paste my script. So it's really 5 lines and we see that the position here is bottom right. So I'll save that and publish my website. Now if I open, we'll see that we have this bottom right layout chatbot. If I click, it nicely takes the full height of my page right here. And we see that after 2 minutes of configuration, it already accurately leverages the knowledge that we have provided based this time on a sitemap. So now let's go ahead and test the final feature that I have released recently, which is the MCP connector. So I'll go back to Lookio's platform and open the API settings. And I see that first of all, we have our API docs right here, well documented. So endpoints for queries, resources, assistance, it's all in there. And you can take a look, even copy the full markdown to give to an AI that would help you write the configurations. But what we're using today is the MCP server that enables you to connect to your agentic platforms. First of all, we need to create an API key. So I'll go in there and just create a test key for this video. So once I have my key, I can basically go in there, open one of my platforms. So let's try it with Mistral, where we can add a connector right here. And we need a connector address. So that's what we'll copy here. We'll give it a name. And for the auth method, put API key as the header and either use bearer or basic. I made sure that both will work. So going in here, I'll just copy my key and paste the token. And when I hit create, we can see that Lookio actually got connected. So from there, if I start a new chat, I can make sure that my Lookio connector is enabled. And let's try to ask. And here it should actually, ask me for the permission to use it. And in the configuration, you can either ask it to always request the permission or simply always execute. And it decided to use this capacity because it's the way to know what are my Lookio assistant, and it got this information. Now I could even ask to improve the output guidelines. It's now ready to edit the assistant. It has the assistant ID and is ready to pass the new output guidelines. So I'll hit continue. And now what we could ask Mistral is to actually search the web for some best practices that people have been sharing about anti-gravity and put them together into a text so that it can be added as a resource to our Lookio workspace and also connected to this assistant. And then we'll see if it worked and actually run a query through this assistant that should reflect this new knowledge that we have added. Okay, so that's perfect. We see that now in Lookio, we have even more capacities when it comes to the types of knowledge bases, and I think sitemaps are really powerful, again, for this docs use case. So if, as a company, you're hosting your docs on Mintlify, which is an excellent platform, but you don't want to pay up to 50 cents per message in their AI assistant that comes natively on their docs, then you have a way to simply integrate a widget that runs on the exact same knowledge. You can even add more knowledge either as a text or a PDF that you upload to the assistant's knowledge, and then you'll benefit from a pay-as-you-go pricing with your credits that never expire and that are as cheap as 2 cents per query, which is up to 25 times cheaper than Midlify. But we have also seen the 3 ways to interact with Lookio and manage your workspace, either manually in a very easy and intuitive platform, or via API if you are, let's say, automating via tools like NA10, Zapier, Make, building scalable workflows. But you can now also supercharge your AI agents with Lookio as a platform that they can use to get premium AI knowledge retrieval capacities. So from there, feel free to try the platform at Lookio.app. You get 100 free credits when you sign up, and let me know if you need any help with the implementation.